there is a huge number of data sources, so probably about 4 or 5 data sources we can actually use to get the outcome that is not being used. That's because your data engineering practice has not been set. This necessitates hiring data engineers, data architect, all those sort of things, right? Then you start your data infrastructure journey, which essentially typically takes, it's a 10 to 12 months of journey that an organization has to you know so that is what I mean to be data ready. If the organizations, I would say 80 to 85% organizations are not yet data ready.
Welcome, everyone, to the AI Founders Podcast Show. Our podcast is dedicated to celebrating the remarkable accomplishments of AI innovators, entrepreneurs, and visionary founders and the captivating stories behind the movements that they've built. I'm your host, Ryan Davies, and I have the honor of hosting today's episode on Future Proofing Tech. Is your organization data ready? With our special guest, Ratnadeep Bhattacharjee. Ratnadeep, thanks for being here today. I'm really excited for this one. This is going to be a really good one.
Hey Ryan, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited. This is one of the few podcasts actually I'm appearing in this week, so fingers crossed we can make it work both for us.
I think this is going to be great for our listeners. This is just a wonderful topic, and I think you've got a wealth of knowledge here to that we can dive into. For our listeners, Ratnadeep is the co-founder of TechVariable, and he's played a pivotal role in developing premium digital solutions and consultancy services globally. His leadership has been instrumental in executing major projects in data management and AI-driven solutions with a mission that revolves around driving digital transformation for organizations through data-centric AI solutions. And he has a vision, execution to have set new standards for tech innovation. Additionally, you're the host of Leaders Perspective, a digital transformation podcast series that offers insight and conversations for industry leaders and entrepreneurs. So I think there's some good cross traffic here. It sounds like we cover a lot of the same groups and information and things like that, which is wonderful. So definitely for our listeners, we're gonna talk more about that and how to listen to more of Ratnadeep's great knowledge and some of his guests. But for starters, I think to kick things off, if you could just kind of color up that introduction a little bit more for us and share a bit about your journey in the tech industry.
Yeah, thanks for that, Ryan. You mostly covered everything, but let me try. Let me try if I can add something to
Sure,
the
perfect.
palette. So, as you rightly put, right, I'm one of the co-founders of TechVariable. We are an 8-year-old company. So when we started out as a boutique, technology company offering software services solutions and stuff like that, right? So, uh, since we have been mostly catering to North American clients for different digital transformation projects, starting from MVP development to actual product development, and then covering the entire gamut of product development, right, from designing, developing, deploying, everything.
Mhm.
Over the past 4.5 years, we kind of diverted our attention to mostly projects in the digital transformation domain. By digital transformation, I mean, data-driven digital transformation, right? So your data engineering, your AI, ML, all those sort of things, right? So what we realized over the course of that particular journey of these 4 or 5 years, right? What has really been remarkable, I would say, is the number of organizations which are not data ready. Now, why did this question even arise, right? Because what kept on happening with most of the big organizations, enterprises, right, is that they wanted to implement some AI use cases. They wanted to get into the bandwagon or the buzz called AI, and now it has evolved into generative AI and LLMs and all this sort of stuff, right? But uh, when we realized, deep diving into the data infrastructure, because what we made a practice within our organization is, before embarking on any data driven solutions, we should really do a data audit, data infrastructure audit, which becomes the crux of how you can go about then, thinking about a solution. right? So that is how we would say we evolved into being a services company to a product company. Now, with all the knowledge that we have gathered over the past 3 4 years, we have put them into some suite of solutions that we have internally, which caters to being AI ready, consequently to be data ready, right? So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I don't know whether I was able to capture your attention.
No,
Let's put it that way.
I think that was perfect. And you talked about again, sort of that baseline audit almost, right? And again, for our listeners, we have everybody, and I know, with TechVariable, you also have people at all stages of that journey, right? You're at from everything from pre-seed and like ideation stage right through to mature organizations that are looking for help and to become data ready. But what does that mean? Like you said, it starts with an audit, to kind of understand where you're at. But what does it mean for a company to be data ready, and why is it just so essential for tech founders to make sure that they are, regardless of what stage they're in?
Right. I think that's the fundamental question, Ryan. What happens is most organizations grow so rapidly that they keep on piling up those, how do I put it, technical lag. I call it a technical lag, right?
Mm-hmm.
You keep on increasing your, you keep on growing so fast that you can kind of forget that the technology probably is reaching a stage where it should be, or probably I would call it modernized, if I may say so.
Yep.
So what happens is, let's say this organization, has a humongous, set of, data lying within different departments, right? And probably, let's take an example of a retail organization, right? They want to do a demand forecasting. They want to build a demand forecasting model, right? But but the problem is, if your technology team only works on a single data source, wherein that as an organization you have umpteenth number of data source lying, because each of your teams use different softwares, right, to get their work done. So these are rich sources of data. Now many organizations honestly don't use all of their data. They don't have a very good data infrastructure in place. They don't have a very good data engineering practice. Now, what do they do, right? So, typically, what does an enterprise do? Let's say they decide that, hey, I think we should establish a data practice within our organization. They would hire a data scientist. Hey, I need this AI/ML model, or I need an analytics, or I need a reporting dashboard to work for me. I need my decision makers to exactly know what we're doing and what not, so that I can report to them the best kind of information we can possibly give them, right? Then the data scientist kind of, what does the data scientist do? They expect that the data that they get is structured and integrated properly, right? But when they start looking into the data, they realize that, hey man, this is not something that we expect. I cannot derive any outcome out, I know, from this particular data set or whatever is available to me. Then when he or she looks back into what actually exists within the paradigm of this organization in terms of data, they will realize that, oh, there is a huge number of data sources, so probably about 4 or 5 data sources we can actually use to get the outcome that is not being used. That's because your data engineering practice has not been set. This necessitates hiring data engineers, data architect, all those sort of things, right? Then you start your data infrastructure journey, which essentially typically takes, it's a 10 to 12 months of journey that an organization has to, so that is what I mean to be data ready. If the organizations, I would say 80 to 85% organizations are not yet data ready.
And that is a staggeringly high number, I guess, but it makes sense because people don't understand. Again, they think they are, right. Like, hey, I know my numbers, I know my info, I know my customers or whatever it is, but clearly there's a lot of gaps. And like you said, the bigger the organization, the more it's spread out, the more different systems you're collecting from. Some you don't even realize are an area for collecting this data. So it's there to serve a purpose, and that's not what it is. Well, it's still there to uncover, right? So I'd love to kind of understand how, with this increasing importance of data, how I guess some of the challenges that make it really tough to be truly data ready, but maybe some specific examples that you've seen of like highlighting some of these challenges and overcoming them from that sense.
Hmm. So, would you like to, understand? Probably, I can give you an example of a case study. Will it make sense?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, that would be amazing. The real world stuff is the stuff that again, I think it applies most and we can relate to the most. That's great.
Right. So we actually worked with a multinational FMCG company. It's a very big company actually. I won't be able to name it, but you get the picture, right?
Yep.
It's one of the largest in the world. So what they were struggling with, forecasting their inventory level, sales, and what kind of sales that would happen for them to maintain a very good level of inventory, right? So essentially, they wanted a demand forecasting model. Now, when they came to us, they said that this is the problem. We do our sales on Amazon, on Target, on Walmart, right? But we don't have a singular demand forecasting tool.
Hmm.
This kind of gave us a we thought that since it's a very large organization, it has a very good data practice. The data team was big enough to have a very good data practice. But when we really deep dived into their infrastructure, as I said, we do it even if it's a you know very good data team that they have. The data practice is very solid, but even then we do the thing that actually has served us well till now. We do the data audit. We realize that even though the data team is there, they are not particularly interested in working in that particular use case, if I may put it. So what was happening was the Target data was lying in silos, Amazon data was lying in silos, and Walmart data was lying in silos. This actually gave us an insight into the fact that they have not a singular data infrastructure setup or a data warehouse setup correctly. So even before embarking on the journey of getting this demand forecasting model done, we actually covered through our platform. We call it data steroid. It essentially, as I said, it brought down the number of months which would have taken 6 to 9 months for this to have happened. It essentially brought it down to 6 weeks, and within 9 weeks, I think it was 9 weeks, we were able to deliver even the demand forecasting model to them. But see, it started with really understanding the data sources, and then uh, bringing it to a structure which is ready for analytics, which is ready for AI, right? So this is a very good example that I can give you. Uh,
Yeah, I love that. I think that's just a great again, like somebody who is, like you said, already has a lot of the data, all of the stuff in place, but just couldn't connect those dots. And then, as you said, okay, we want this, and it's like before you can do that, you need to take a step back and a step back and kind of get that from there. And again, maybe that's just not them understanding the maturity of their data readiness from that standpoint. Is there a framework or like any set of indicators that any tech founders or business can use to kind of assess that maturity of their data readiness and understand, what that road ahead looks like, or in your opinion?
yeah, very good question, Ryan. We actually have a tool that we use internally when we get a very good lead, or we understand that there is something here. We kind of give them a list of questionnaire, which is it's kind of a survey but not a survey. uh, it's a AI readiness test. We call it an AI readiness test because it sounds much more buzzier, if I may call it.
I like that.
but
Yeah.
but but it's essentially a data readiness test, right? So we test what stage they're at, what kind of culture they have within the organization in terms of really adopting data tools, really getting ready for the next stage of digital transformation, which can either be AI ML or can also be some analytics or reporting structure, those sort of things. We also understand their ETL or ELT landscape, whatever suits the kind of uh, you know technology infrastructure they have. We also understand what kind of pipeline, data pipeline they're working on, and those sort of things. Basically, where they are at this particular stage. So we do have a questionnaire. We do have a when we do this data audit. This is one of the first preliminary activities we do, and then we dive deep. For a 2-day workshop or 3-day workshop.
I mean, I guess that's the key, right? Is to really understand that maturity, where you're at, and things like that. Is there a way that organizations then can also measure like the impact or an ROI of the data initiatives that they're doing? Because I know again, that's a big thing, right? People say, well, I can always measure revenue, I can always measure this or that, like end goals, but how are you able to communicate sort of that impact in terms of ROI and that investment that they're putting in?
Right. In fact, what we do is, during the data, what we offer to our leads, is that, this data infrastructure audit that we do is kind of, free of charge, honestly, because we really want to tell them where they are at, whether they adopt our product or don't, we recommend them other solutions as well. These are our competing solutions. Why don't you go with them? This would make more sense. This would not make more sense. This the product has this, our product has this. We give them a very good comparison. In terms of ROI, it's very difficult to get an ROI calculator for a data life cycle management solution, if I may call it so, because essentially what you're telling them is, hey, if you invest this much, you will get this much out of this. But how can you measure human productivity? You can have numbers to, you will. So I can give you an ROI in terms of, if you have 8 to 9 data engineers sitting for 8 to 9 months, you know what kind of cost I'm talking about, right?
Right.
If this gets reduced to 6 weeks and only one person getting involved, he or she is covering the entire gamut of data lifecycle management without needing to hire that many people for that many number of months. Then you know what I'm talking about, what kind of saving I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the ROI. That's the best ROI anyone can have for any
I,
product.
I think so. I mean, that kind of speaks to itself, and I think for leaders hearing that, it resonates in terms of, yeah, like that is really what I want to do, is drive this data-driven culture in the organization, because it's going to lead to so much more, connect both internally and externally better, and make better strategic decisions. How are you finding that tech leaders, can foster that data-driven culture with their organization, and why is that so critical to have that top-down mentality from that sense?
I think, Rand, it boils down to, it's not just the leaders who are responsible. Honestly, it's also, people feel that data driven culture is only built by the technology people, right? It's not that. Even non-tech people. Honestly, these non-tech people are the ones who are mostly involved with generating the data within the organization, because these people work on different softwares within the organization on a daily basis, right? So if these guys really understand the importance of putting in as much data as is possible within the different softwares without really ignoring some of the fields that exist within the software, once they start realizing the importance of that, they would actually contribute to this, data layer, as I call it, for an organization, right?
Mm-hmm.
So also, they should understand that, they should have enough knowledge shared within the organization, that their competitors are doing this, their competitors are doing that. Why can't we also adopt the same things? These people are already using these technologies. These people already have a data infrastructure in place. These people can actually predict many different parameters within their business, important parameters or KPIs within their business, just because they have adopted AI. Why could they adopt AI? There comes your answer, because they have a solid data infrastructure in place.
I mean, that just kind of, I think, brings it all together from that point, right? We need to make sure that you've got, again, we've talked about this numerous times now, but just the incredible importance of having, everybody buy into it, understanding, the key connections as to, why you're doing it, and what the expectations should be kind of out of it from that. When we're talking about looking ahead, there's a lot of tech founders that are going to face choices in terms of their data infrastructure and technologies. And there's different tools and platforms that are all out there, including yours, of course. But, do you think that there are, do you have advice for how to select the right ones for you? And most importantly, I guess, are there emerging technologies that you think are going to play a really significant role in the future of this space, to be able to help organizations forward? And I'm sure you. I don't want to I don't want to, have you spill the secret sauce here of your roadmap going forward, right? But I'm sure there's a lot of things out there in terms of how people should be looking at making a decision for how to bring somebody into this space.
Okay, so I would like to answer it this way. Okay, I believe you cannot just miss the bus. Generative AI is here to stay. LLMs are here to stay, right? Now, to truly be an organization which is using LLM in the most effective way, you need to understand your organization data, right? Now, organization data, enterprise data, as I said, may lie in silos, or you may have a solid data infrastructure in place. These are the two possibilities. Now, as far as adopting tools is concerned, right? If you're a very large organization, having a solid data infrastructure is non-negotiable. Without that, you cannot proceed to your next steps. Everything you do will have a repercussion in terms of not having the right or correct KPIs which you calculate, not having the correct reporting that goes out to your decision makers. Now, when you select a tool, you have to understand whether it is actually covering the entire data lifecycle or not, because you cannot have, again, you will again make the same mistake of taking one tool for data ingestion, one tool for data engineering, one tool for analytics, one tool for AI. This will again mess up your entire data, or a technology infrastructure, let's put it that way, right? Because you are essentially telling people that, hey, you are already using these many softwares. I'll, you can bring it into a common platform and derive insights out of it. Now, if you expect people to buy four softwares to do the same thing, it becomes a problem. So I believe it should be a solution, and there are umpteenth number of these solutions in the market. It's not just our solution. There are many other solutions which actually covers the entire gamut, right? Again, one of the things that I really believe, as I said during while I was explaining the same point, right? LLMs and generative AI is here to stay. It is only going to get more and more mature as we keep on exploring more possibilities out of it. I really believe enterprises can leverage it with so many use cases and so many possibilities that are there, right? So I believe we are we are at a stage in the whole technology landscape, right, where we really are in the golden period, I would say. People say that AI will take away jobs, generative AI will just steal all your jobs and stuff. No, that is not going to happen. It is only going to make you more and more effective as an organization. I truly believe it.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, there's a lot of fear around it, fear mongering almost with a lot of stuff. And I'm sure, again, there's lots of ethical considerations and all of that, like that we didn't even touch on necessarily. But I think you're absolutely right that the idea of this is to strengthen and embolden people, empower people more to do more in organizations, to do more from that perspective. How do you like? I know obviously big piece, but I guess looking ahead, anticipating maybe these opportunities in the data landscape for tech organizations, you know, preparation is key. Are there elements in place now that you think people should have that are the new table stakes, I guess, in terms of what needs to be there from that sense of where you see, okay, you mentioned if you're not here, you're a laggard, you're behind, you've got to adapt to this now. So those things where you're like, hey, this is the minimum bar at this point. Is there any kind of key indicators that you think are in place? It's probably a complicated question. It ranges from organization to organization, right? So
Yes, I believe, Ryan, two things, right? First is, do you know your data sources? That's that's the first question,
yeah,
right? Do you really know your data sources? You should not be in a place as an organization where you are not sure where your data lies. Or even if you know where your data lies, you don't know how to use it. I know so many big organizations which still have legacy, applications running. And how do you make sure that the data, gold mine of data that is there in your legacy application, which your people are anyway using, will keep on using? How do we make sure that without really needing to modernize it, how do we make sure that we keep on using those legacy applications, but even then, modernize the other things in the business, right? So there are ways of doing it. There are ways technology can help you achieve that, but at least people should be at a stage to really identify the data sources. Secondly, and one of the most important things is to know what kind of use cases they have as an organization. Let's say 2 year down the line, I want to be at a stage where I can forecast my demand, where I can have, as a bank, I want to be able to do hyper personalized marketing, right? But you should have a vision for that. You should know what kind of use case you would like to work on as a organization, and only then you can go backwards and backwards and backwards and then achieve it, one step at a time.
I love that, and I think you've kind of talked about it a little bit more here. And as we close off, I'd love to. You said AI and Gen AI are kind of buzzwords now these days. It's sort of where all of the, even as you said, you've named your tool around that to try and create that second layer of interest and kind of capitalize on that. How I guess how AI and Gen AI specifically, I mean, maybe we could talk about for you and for TechVariable are really creating that a revolution around digital transformation, I guess, and being able to empower it even further.
Right. So we have a very good tool called Wordwise. It uh, essentially it's a LLM backed chat application which works on your enterprise data, which helps you derive insights out of it, right? Uh, so let's say you are a head of sales and you just type in, hey, I want to know the top five most selling product in my organization for the past 3 months. Then the chat response will be, hey, these were the products. Product one got this sales, product two got this sales, and then you also get a graph out of it. You can add this particular graph in your PPT and then share it with your um, you know decision maker, right? What it saves you a lot of time. Don't have to go to Tableau or any such visualization tool to get the graph or generate insights. You can question it in a human understandable format, and the response will also be in a human readable format, right? It's like essentially chat GPT on steroids, if I may say
Love it.
so, but on your organization data, right? So that and then secondly, security. The people are concerned about sharing their organizational data to chat GPT because it gets shared across, they can use those data, right? What our platform does is it the LLM or the OpenAI or not OpenAI, the LLM technology that we use does not even get to know your data, what kind of data it has. It can generate insights without having access to your data. So that's the inbuilt sauce that we have internally, which enables us to do it, right? And also our all our platforms, even our data engineering automation platform, which we call Data Steroid, ironically, is both Data Steroid and Wordwise are on our on-prem deployments, right? We don't. It's not a SaaS application. We customize it according to what client needs, how the client needs it, and we deploy it either on premise or on their private clouds, right? So that is how these things need to be balanced. You need to be very aware of data security. Data governance is ensured through a platform called Wordwise. So data democratization, these are the three important pillars of data lifecycle management, I believe, and I think we are trying to cover as much as we can. So yeah.
I love that. And I mean, that's so important for safeguarding this data. There's sensitive and non-sensitive, but it's all sensitive. Like you said, it's all proprietary. It's all stuff you got to be so careful about. So it's, another point to consider in all of this data readiness. With that, Ratnadeep, what I'd love to do is just kind of turn it over to you here at the end here. And how can people get connected with you and take advantage of, you mentioned some of the great things that TechVariable offers. I know there's going to be people that are going to be reaching out asking about it, so we may as well cover it off here to get you connected with some of our listeners as well.
Sure, sure. So the best way to reach out to me is email and LinkedIn. I'm reachable at ratnadeep@techvariable.com, and LinkedIn, just probably you can search Ratnadeep Bhattacharjee, and then I think you'll get it. There are very few Ratnadeep Bhattacharjees in LinkedIn, I believe. But you can probably Ryan will be gracious enough to add that during the release of this podcast as well.
Perfect. Absolutely, we will, and take advantage of that. Ratnadeep and his team, just an unbelievable wealth of knowledge. Has again, free tools and things that we can use here. Help with that audit. Help with that understanding. Of answering that question of is your organization data ready? I don't know. Is it? Am I? How do I know? And where am I going to where am I going to get that answer from with someone you can trust? So that's I think that's absolutely perfect and a great place for us to leave off. So I want to say thank you, Ratnadeep, for being here today and for sharing your journey, and a little bit more about data readiness and how organizations are preparing for this for the future. How AI is playing such a crucial role into this as well. I think we could probably have you back for a dozen more topics based on the things we talked here. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, the pleasure was mine, Ryan. Thanks for having me, and looking forward to hearing from you soon.
Excellent. Yes, and thank you for everybody for joining us on this enlightening journey through AI innovation. And we hope you've been inspired by the incredible stories and everything shared today. And remember, the future is driven by pioneers like our guest, Ratnadeep Bhattacharjee, and the limitless possibilities of AI. So stay curious, stay innovative, keep exploring the boundless horizons of technology. And before we sign off, I will have a small request for our dedicated listeners. If you enjoy our podcast, please take a moment, leave a review, subscribe on your favorite platform, share it with those that you know. It's your feedback and support that helps us bring more amazing content and incredible guests like Ratnadeep today. Thank you very much again. And until next time, this is Ryan Davies signing off. Take care, everybody.